In this video, we will take a closer look at a new filter system from Freewell that is designed for DSLR and mirrorless cameras. And we will try out how well it works on a Sony A7 III mounted with a 24-105 f4 lens. Freewell has taken a rather different approach to mounting these filters. Is this smart or not? Watch along and find out. And make sure to watch the video to the end if you want to know what I think about this new filter system. If you're new around here, I'm Henrik Olsen, and if you want to improve your drone skills, learn about e-wheels, then consider subscribing to my weekly tips, tests and tutorials. Freewell have been developing filters for years to drones and action cameras, and I actually have one of their filters, a ND16, more or less permanently mounted on my drone when I'm out filming in the bright sunlight. As a content creator doing video all the time, Freewell reached out to me and asked if I would take a closer look at their new ND filter system that they have developed for bigger cameras. I've been a long-time user of their products and at the same time I was looking for a new quality filter solution for my Sony A7 III, so this was basically a win-win. One of the really annoying things with ND filters or filters in general is that in the heat of the battle, if you need to change a filter, you need to do it through the thread in front of the lens. And this is not always easy if you're moving from an indoor environment to an outdoor environment. This is where the magnetic quick swap system from Freewell comes in pretty handy. Let me show you how it works. With each kit you get a threaded UV filter where the actual filter is magnetically attached on top of it. Like that. You take both filters and then you mount them on the lens through the lens thread like you would do with a standard solution. Once that is mounted, you can easily swap to another filter from the series just by taking it off and attaching the other one. A nice little tip that I've figured out using this system is that when I have to switch to another filter, I simply take off the filter that I want to take off. Then I magnetically attach it to the one that I want to replace. Just put that on top and then I remove the one that I was replacing. In this way, I have enough hands to do the swap, and I can put this filter into this safe magnetic storage box. So that's a pretty smart solution. For this video, I got the ND64 and the circular polarizing filter. Apart from the filters, you also get this magnetic storage box, as I showed you before. You get a lens cap, like a metal lens cap, that goes in front of the lens, like that. You also get link to some video tutorials. There's a lifetime warranty card. You actually get lifetime warranty on these filters under certain conditions. You get a cloth for cleaning, and you get a filter guide that will tell you a little bit about in what situations you use each filter. But you could also decide just to watch my videos. Right now, this series of filters contains a ND64, both polarized and non-polarized versions. It contains an ND1000, also polarized and non-polarized version. And there's a light pollution filter, as well as a circular pole filter. And offers support for lens thread size 67, 72, 77 and 82 mm. I'm pretty sure that Freewell will expand this series over time. A really good tip when you're out buying filters is to buy a filter that will fit the biggest lens that you have, and then buy a cheap step down ring so you can use it on your other lenses. Having a magnetic setup is pretty smart because if I want to add polarization to my ND filter, I can just take my polarizer filter and stack it on top of it, like that. So in this way I have a ND64 with a polarizer in front of it. Adding polarization or CPL filter on top of your ND filter will allow you to reduce glare from surfaces and increase the contrast and saturation in the image. You simply adjust the strength of the polarizer by turning it, and the effect is strongest if you use it perpendicular in the direction of the sun. Adding a polarizer on top of your ND filter, that reduces the light by 1 stop. And if the ND64 filter equals 6 stop, you can just multiply these two numbers for a total of 7 stop, equal to a ND128. And in case you're wondering what these stops are that I'm talking about, and that's pretty simple because 1 stop equals either halving or doubling the amount of light that goes through the filter. And of course, stacking two pure ND filters would also work after the same principle that I just described. The downside of stacking filters is of course that the light needs to travel through more layers of glass, and that could lead to softness or chromatic aberration, which is shown as purple fringes toward the edges of the picture. Now you're probably thinking, why are you not using a variable ND filler that will allow you to seamlessly go from ND2 to ND400? In most cases, these variable ND fillers are compromises, and in worst case, if they're pushed too far, they will give you the dreaded X with the dark areas in the picture. They're pretty handy, I admit, but you will get a much cleaner image with a pure ND filler. The Sony 24-105 f4 lens, that is the $1,300 lens, so you want to make sure that you have a quality filter in front of it that does not degrade the picture quality. But luckily, Freewell does seem to offer a nice balance between price and quality compared to the other premium brands. These fillers are made from high definition premium optical glass, double-sided multi-coated with zero chromatic aberration. What that means, it does not change the color of your footage across the filter, but changes the exposure level depending on how dark the filter is. This ND filler does change the overall image temperature to the colder side. Each side of the glass element is coated so it's waterproof, dustproof, scratch-proof and oil-proof, making it resistant to general use. I have seen other filter systems that are quite bulky and prevent you from using the standard lens hood, but in this case that is not an issue. You simply just mount it like that and the filter stays nicely within the lens hood. A pretty nice detail about this system is that it will allow you to use existing filters that you already have purchased. You simply just remove the filter, the magnetic filter, and then you mount your existing filter through the thread in the UV filter, like that. The downside to this is, of course, then you can't take advantage of the magnetic quick swap system, but it's nice to know that the system supports filters that you have already purchased. I mainly use ND fillers for video to slow down the shutter speed during bright days to get that buttery smooth blurry footage that we all love. If you don't reduce the shutter speed of the footage, it will look jerky and unnatural. And I will go as far as saying with video, there's really no way around ND fillers. ND fillers can also be used creatively when you're taking photos, doing long exposure photography. But for that one, you need a darker one than the ND64 that I have in the kit. The ND1000 in the series will probably work a lot better. ND fillers can also allow photographers to shoot wide open in the bright sunlight and still keep a shallow depth of field in cases where the shutter is simply not fast enough. In case you want to give these fillers a try, I've included a link in the description below. The new magnetic filler system from Freewell seems like a good and practical solution if you're using fixed ND fillers for optimal picture quality, as it will let you switch very easily between the different fillers that you have in the series. The solution is simple to use and the picture quality is good with no discoloration across the filler. Turning the CPL filter can be a little bit tricky because that will only work one way. If you turn the other way, you will unscrew the UV threaded solution below it. So you need to turn it this way to make it stay on. Even though the UV filter adds additional protection to your lens, it's still an additional layer of glass in front of your lens. And some might be picky about the picture quality, so they don't want to do that. To be perfectly honest, I'm not a big fan of this metal lens cap, especially because having metal close to the coated surface of the lens, that's not my cup of tea. The magnetic quick swap system, that works really well, but it's also a bit loose compared to the traditional way of mounting these filters through the thread in the lens. So how well that holds up on the road, that still has to be seen. But one thing that I would recommend is always to keep the lens hood mounted like this, and that will add additional protection. But having the fillers come loose during transportation, that is of course a valid concern of mine. So I would under all circumstances recommend storing the fillers during transportation in this nice magnetic box. Price is high if you don't have fillers prior to this, but quality fillers cost money, so there's nothing more to add there. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then make sure to give it a like. If you don't like it, then feel free to press the dislike button twice. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one.